This is my 2020 25-ton CountyLine log splitter. This thing is a powerhouse, and here on the property, it is an absolute game changer. Available to the masses, yet powerful enough to do whatever I ask it to do. And today, I'm gonna review it. I picked up this log splitter at my local Tractor Supply for the unbelievable price of $550. It was on clearance, it was 50% off for a savings of $550. Arguably one of the best picks that I've ever had. It wasn't a return, it's just an end of the season clearance item. There were two others besides this one for a total of 3, so I knew that this wasn't a return or a ding and dent special. I asked the salesperson, they told me no, it's just the time of the year when they're trying to clear out some space, so I hopped on the opportunity. I had been looking at them. I actually offered someone on Facebook Marketplace for this exact model $800 used, because the MSRP on these, and if you go on the Tractor Supply website right now, is right at $1,100 even. So being that I really wasn't ready to buy it, I had to buy the hitch and everything else to take it home, so it took my total to about $600 out the door. If you have your own hitch, obviously, it's gonna be a little bit cheaper for you. This particular log splitter is sporting a Kohler engine of 6.5 horsepower, mated to a 2-stage hydraulic pump for a total of 25 tons of smushing power. So far, I've ran it for 1 tank of gas and split arguably 2 face cords, give or take. So I'm pretty happy with the fuel economy on it. And in the course of that first tank and change, I've yet to come across anything that it hasn't been able to bust up. I recently cut down some oak trees. This is all northern red oak of varying diameters. I think the biggest that I did was right around 24 inches or so, and it busted right through green oak without any issue. I also had some older stumps around, some poplar stumps of a little bit bigger diameter, and it busted right through those. That was one where you can actually hear the second stage really kick on and push through. That stumpy root ball part really needed some business to take care of it, but this powered right through it. So again, I picked it up at the Tractor Supply. Shout out to Tractor Supply because it did come full of hydraulic oil, full of engine oil. All I had to do was put a little bit of gas in it. I filled it up with some ethanol-free gas. They recommend just like most power tools, 10 or above percentage of ethanol, and it fired right up. I ran the cylinder back and forth a couple of times, checked the dipstick, and it was a little bit low after it cycled and filled all the lines up. So if you're thinking about buying one of these, get yourself a jug of AW32 as well, because you're probably going to need it once you turn it on and cycle it up and fill all the lines up with hydraulic. Like all log splitters that are on the market, there are a number of compromises, and you should really buy the one that's going to suit your needs the most. Now that being said, I really feel that this is good for a general home gamer, perhaps smaller level professional or someone who's using it to make money. In this case, again, I feel like this is a good mix of the different trade-offs that you have. It has very, very good power at 25 tons. Of course, there are some log splitters that are lower or higher. The 11.5 cycle speed is fast enough to do what you're pretty much asking it to do in a not too long amount of time. You know, again, there are going to be some that are slower than this and faster than this, but I think right around 12-second cycle time is actually really good, especially at this price point. As far as the ergonomics are concerned, it's got some gravity to her. It's sitting on a big I-beam. I think it goes about 500 pounds dry weight, give or take. So a strapping young lad is able to, you know, readily move it around and push it uphill and back and forth until if you're going to a somewhere that you can't drive your tractor to. But again, at 500 pounds, some older folks, someone perhaps with a bad back or something, might have a little bit of an issue with it, so I felt that that was a good point that you'd have to bring up. So with a good mix of all those, a good tonnage, a fast cycle speed, and a decently heavy but stout weight, I think that this is a good mix of all of them. I think the average home gamer or someone who's busting up firewood will be totally suited using this machine. So if we're talking about weight, and we just left what kind of logs we're using, this machine does operate in the horizontal and the vertical for those really heavy logs that you don't want to lift. It's actually quite easy to do. You make sure your wheels are chocked so she doesn't roll away from you, and there's just a little pin right here that you pull out, give her a lift, she goes right into the vertical position. Now, there is no lock in this position, but you know, as much as this thing weighs, it's really not going anywhere. To come back down, it's just as easy. Just give her a yank. The pin slides back, so you don't really have to do anything. You keep your two hands or one hand on the machine and your other hand safely out of the way without risk of smushing anything. There are also some options available on this machine. First, and probably foremost, there is holes pre-drilled in the side for a small work table here. If you've ever run a log splitter, you know that the first cut, you usually get some offcuts or whatever, or splitting it up 50-50. You can lay some of your work on the table as you finish splitting up the ones that you actually have on the bed here, and you don't have to keep getting back and forth. I am probably going to get one of those. I didn't because my store didn't have it in stock at the time, but I can always order it. Another thing that is offered as an option, again, my store didn't have it, thankfully, is a four-way head. This is just a regular two-way head. I'm a little hesitant to getting the four-way because the reviews online are not very good for the four-way. Some swear by it and others have a legitimate concern with the size of the horizontal wings, that they're a little too small and they break off. So, if one person said it, maybe they're just squeaking, but a bunch of people are saying the same thing over and over again. You kind of tend to have to believe them. So I don't think I'm going to go down that route. But enough of the talking. I'm going to throw some Ear Pro in under my hat because this thing is a little bit loud. It has not run today. It's about 29 degrees out here with a pretty solid wind. Let's see how she fires up. Turn the power switch on, choke on, fuel's on. Let's see how we do. One pull. One pull on a cold day. I mean, it's really hard to complain about that. Let's get some logs, see how she runs. You can see right away how the table would have been helpful. Kind of protect the hydraulic tank, the engine, and the tire there. But I'm just waiting for it to get delivered. Probably something you're going to want to consider getting. Now this log doesn't really need to be split vertically. It's roughly the same size as the other one, but I did want to show you it in operation. As you can see, it really had no problem busting up those logs. Green oak and green, whatever this is. I think it's maple, but I have no idea. I grew up in Brooklyn. They're all oaks to me. So now for a couple of the cons, and there really aren't many. The first, I don't know if you noticed, but at idle, this engine surges. When it's under power, there's no issue with it whatsoever. It has plenty of power, it delivers it. It's just annoying. Doing a little bit of Googling, it says you can break apart the carburetor and drill out the idle carb or the idle jet in the carburetor, and that's just not something that I want to do, especially with a brand new machine. So it's a little annoying, but it doesn't affect performance any. Second, the holes in the bed here are a little small. I noticed it specifically with these logs because I had to skid them up through the sand. Watch the other video, you'll know what I'm talking about. So they're kind of coated in sand, and the bed here is already kind of scored up from the sand. I wish there was the holes were a little bit bigger so that as the ram came down, it kind of cleared the channel out a little bit more. Again, not the end of the world, more of an annoyance, but it's something that you know, I noticed. Now there isn't anything specifically in the instructions that I saw that says to lubricate the bed here. I think I'm going to go ahead and start throwing some oil in. Not that there's any wear or I really feel anything. Everything's still smooth after the first tank and a half or so. I was, again, waiting until the sandy logs get out of here. I didn't want it to kind of gum up and just run sand through. So once I'm done with this really sandy stuff, I'm going to go ahead and lubricate these with a little bit of oil just to keep everything flowing and moving nicely. So in review, is it good for a homeowner? No, it's great for a homeowner. For someone who's busting up firewood, this is a tremendous, tremendous piece of equipment. It has been a game changer for me. I have no problem busting wood up with a maul or a splitting axe, but some days you just don't feel like doing it, especially after, you know, with a new house here, especially trying to build up some inventory. The maul got old fast. Refer to this as my old back saver. It's really been tremendous. For a pro, you know, I don't know. I don't have enough time on it. If this thing was to run, you know, 8 hours a day, every day, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, I don't know how it would hold up. As it doesn't seem like it would be an issue. It's, you know, made with good materials, things that are not really jingling, jangling, thick steel all around, but I'm not going to, you know, I can't, you know, swear to the fact that this thing is going to last a lifetime. But if you're able to get it at the price that I was, $550 for a pretty powerful log splitter, it's not one that you know, I would necessarily pass over for a pro or a homeowner. So while I'm filming this the last week of January, perhaps if you're seeing it now, go run down to your local Tractor Supply and see if they have theirs on sale for that absolutely stunning price of $550. Even at $1,100, in comparison to some of the other log splitters that are out there, I still think this is a good value. The tonnage on it, as you can see, I'm just a normal homeowner, you know, regular wood. It has no problem going through anything that I've thrown at it so far. I've been super duper happy. I have no reason to question it. I have nothing that's put on the side and say, oh, I'll have to try to beat that up. It's going right in here. Now, let's give it a John score. In the weekend styling category, call me a dork, there are fewer things out here that I could think of that would be more fun than running this thing. Yes, it's loud, yes, it's smelly, yes, it's work, but it's still awesome and it's a lot of fun. I would do it not on the weekend. So in that category, I give it a thumbs up. Acceleration, the 11.5 cycle time, good enough for me. It has a stop at the back, but you could also hit the handle and stop it if you're running a shorter log than this deck distance, which I believe is 24 inches. I'll correct it in the edit. And save yourself more time that way. The 11.5 seconds is a full pass. You can have it even quicker than that by stopping it and readjusting your logs. So in that category, I give it the thumbs up. Handling, 500 pounds is a bit much. Not for a normal healthy person, but for someone with back issues, older folks, it might be a little bit too much to handle one person. You know, log splitting with 2 people is always going to be better, so that might not be an issue. If you're a household that log splits together, that's not going to be an issue, so I give it a thumbs up there. That said, if you're working out here solo like I am, 500 pounds is, even on the good tires, it is a little, it's heavy. It's heavy. So I still give it a thumbs up with a caveat. Fun factor. Fun factor is a 10 out of 10. There is nothing funner than watching this thing explode logs. It's just fun, it's loud, it's all the things that guys and girls like. It's loud, it's fast, it breaks things. I mean, come on. Cool factor. This is where we're not gonna necessarily agree. This is not something that you're gonna wanna leave out so that your friends or your neighbors see it. You know, maybe some of your blue collar friends are gonna go, all right, awesome, you got a log splitter, I'm gonna come borrow it one day. But you know, it's kind of gangly and ugly and stupid. So in that regard, it gets a medium. Thumbs up for me, but not for everybody else. Features, in the features category, this is bone stock. This was, again, supposed to be $1,100. Now, that being said, I think for $1,100, the table should have come with it. You know, to ask me to spend another $60 or $80, whatever it is, when I got it at half price isn't the end of the world. But for someone who pays full boat for this, which it's still worth it, I think the table should be included. It's really not fair to make you buy another accessory right out of the package. I mean, come on, what's it, a couple bucks in steel? The four-way, I'm actually kind of glad it didn't come with it. Again, because the reviews were so bad on them, on these specific four-ways, that I wouldn't want to be tempted to actually use it and then break something. So I'm happy with the two-way so far. Yeah, it might be a little bit of, more work for me, but I don't mind. So in that category, I give it the thumbs up. Comfort, it's fine. It's fine. The handles and controls are right where they're supposed to be. You saw how quickly the engine fired up, even on a cold day. Hopefully that stays that way. I'll maintain it the way that the book asks you to. I believe this is going to go another about 20 hours or so before I have to change the oil out. We'll continue to go. So in the comfort category, I give it the thumbs up. Quality. It's made in China. It is made in China. Take from that what you will. Does it feel like it's made of Chinesium? No, especially not at, you know, 500 pounds. It does not feel janky or loose or crappy or anything in any way. It towed just fine. It you know, moved around with the trailer hitch just fine, moving it back and forth. I don't see any bending, any flexing, even when you're really having it reef on a log. So quality, yes, it's made in China, but no, I don't see a problem with it. So in that regard, I give it a thumbs up. Practicality. This is a little bit of a hot button issue, a little bit. Yeah, it's great to own one. Yeah, it's a great piece of kit, especially if you're heating off of wood like we are. Yeah, it's great to have it, but the reality is it's probably gonna sit for 9 months out of the year. For most homeowners, you do your you know, spring cleanup, you bust some stuff up for next year's wood, so it seasons, and then it's probably going to sit. Maybe you can make a couple bucks loaning it out to folks. I see those ads on Facebook Marketplace all the time. So it's really only used a couple months out of the year. Now that being said, so are swimming pools. Swimming pools are only used a couple months out of the year, and people love them. So I put this in the same category as a swimming pool. I bet you weren't expecting to hear that. And finally, value. For the price that I paid of $550, again, not quite $1 a pound, it is tremendous. It is a tremendous value. If you're able to get it, go, good for you, fantastic. You can't go wrong with it. If you're gonna pay full price, it does open up the, you know, kind of mindset of doing a little shopping, trading out, maybe some more tonnage for a slower cycle time. That's gonna be up to you. But if you're looking for an all-around, general, very good in every category log splitter, I can't recommend this 25-ton CountyLine log splitter from your local Tractor Supply any more than this. Do it. Get it. Go for it. That's it. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this kind of content, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, give it a subscribe, call your mom, tell her you watched it, have her watch it. I really, really appreciate it. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Keep sending them. After I got wrapped up, there was a couple more things that I did want to mention. In regards to the options, there are some optional fenders. You can see where they bolt on here. Again, not standard, even at the full price, but they are available. One feature I do like, this kickstand is retracting on its own. When you lift it up and you kick the safety out, it does pull itself up so that you're able to leave two hands on the hitch as you're manhandling it. That is something that I do like.